Hello, everybody. How you all doing? Let me just have a look around. It's a big stage. I've got to move left and right. It's going to be fun. The fewest amount of people is right in the centre of the room. So you've made my life really difficult because I'm going to have to be going left and right and left and right. Anyway, thanks for the introduction, Teresa. Now, when you mentioned the Rugby World Cup 1999, that takes me right back to that year. And it reminds me of a lot of what's happening in RPA now. The start of the innovation curve for new technology is the most exciting place to be working. There's a couple of things impacting society right now over the next 10 years. Climate change and automation. And automation, we're working in automation. It's one of the most exciting places you can be working in today. I feel that way anyway. The Rugby World Cup 1999. I'm going to eat into my time now and totally go off track. Let me get the clicker. So yeah, how did that come about? We had one or two, I think we had actually 2 mobile internet phones in the UK in 1999. Ericsson did actually, at least, back in the days when we made our own mobile phones. The WAP phones, W-A-P. Those of you who are old enough to remember that, remember it. And we wanted to demonstrate the mobile internet, and we had 1 or 2 phones. It may have only been 1. And one of our customers was a sponsor of the Rugby World Cup, and the account managers wanted to show it to them, show it what it could do. So we very quickly produced a script, some sort of small program. It was my idea, but somebody built it for me, so that I could sit in front of the TV, watch the Rugby World Cup, and those of you who are as old as me remember how you used to get text commentary for sporting events. The guy runs down the left field with the ball and he kicks it. Literally just lines of text would come out. So that's what we did. And I sat in front of the TV, I typed out the broadcast, and the people at the stadium watching it on their mobile, on this one single mobile phone. And people couldn't believe what they were seeing. They thought it was pre-programmed in the phone, but of course this was impossible. This would be strange, right, because you're watching a live sporting event. And the kind of excitement I got back then doing stuff that was just extremely fast, extremely innovative. It's the same feeling I'm getting today with RPA. So, I was talking last night to a fellow delegate. There we go, the clicker's working, and I found the button. About things that had affected us in our journey through RPA. And he reminded me of a story of a guy in our company, a guy called Richard, and he was one of our early test pilots earlier on this year. And he worked in finance, worked in accounts, and he did a lot of reconciliation of depreciation across the company. He was probably the only person in the company who could do his job. And he showed me what he did, and some of the tasks were extremely robotic, tedious. So we gave him 4 robots. As one of our early test pilots, and he started to use them. And then, about 2 weeks after he'd been using these 4 robots, I got a call from his manager. And she said to me, "There's something about Richard." And I said, "Yeah, what's with Richard?" And she said, "He started talking." I said, "What do you mean he started talking?" I thought maybe we'd gone off track here. She'd had a new baby or something. And started walking, talking. No, it's Richard, he's talking, okay. What do you mean Richard's talking? Well, you know, Richard's a great guy, fantastic at his job, but he comes to the team meetings, never contributes. The last 2 team meetings, he's coming up with ideas, things we should improve, things we should stop doing, things he's noticed in the organisation. What had happened to Richard? He'd had this weight lifted off his shoulders. And in his team meetings, he was no longer concerned about going back to do these robotic, repetitive tasks. And instead, he felt this freedom to contribute, to come out of ideas, improvement ideas for the company. This had a few impacts on me. First of all, I was extremely happy for Richard. He had a more enjoyable, satisfying job now. I thought it was great for the company that Richard's ideas are coming out. They're going to help us become a better company. And thirdly, if we can do this for Richard, how can we expand this to more people in the company? Everybody in the company, possibly. So that's the story. It's a story of how we want to give all 96,000 people in our company, their own personal robot. And what I'm going to go through today is the story of the large ideas, the large concepts, the large leaps of imagination, the large, those big steps that we've had to accept, to own within the organisation, to achieve a strategy to actually, and a solution to take us to 96,000 people with their own robot. So a little bit, 3 months before the Richard event, I began this journey, and I was given this vision, top down from the CEO, that we wanted to have every single repetitive task in the organisation automated by the end of 2021. Now, this is an extremely impractical task. How difficult is this to achieve in a company of 96,000 people, a very heterogeneous set of job roles? We must have thousands of repetitive tasks, if not tens of thousands. If you find an average of one per person, that's 96,000. So we couldn't use our traditional way of working, how we work in unattended, with top-down discoveries, going out, finding processes, bringing them back, building them, delivering them back to business as a small project. So it became an obvious change that if we wanted to automate every single repetitive task in the organisation, we had to put the power in the hands of our business people and our business users. They instinctively know, they automatically know from the top of their head which repetitive tasks they have. So let's give them the power to identify and get these automations developed as fast as possible. Let's cut out this middleman. So the vision changed to a more practical, achievable goal. That is, we're going to give everybody in the organisation the ability to identify and develop their own automations. We give everybody in the company their own buddy bot. So that was the first big leap we had to take, that we understood. We took a vision that was very ambitious but impractical and turned it into a practical target. And we had to build a technological platform, a technique, the platform that actually could enable this. And this was no trivial task. We had to create an as-a-service platform that everybody in the organisation could use, that they could run bots, and they could also develop their own bots. So we have to handle potentially thousands of ad hoc developers. We have to handle the release management, the security, the compliance in an extremely ad hoc manner. We have to quality assure and test all of these processes if they get shared within the organisation. Saying that, we also want to share all these processes in the organisation if it's applicable for them. So we went ahead and we tried to build this platform. And we built it once, and it wasn't very good. So we rebuilt it. We built it again. So we've actually built this platform twice in the space of the last 12 months. And now we've got a platform that can achieve this target. It's an as-a-service platform that can serve the entire organisation. So now we have this platform in place we know works. We have the target in place. How do we actually move this forward? The people in the organisation, who are the change agents that are going to make this happen? So we looked at the business with their ideas, and we looked at development, and we realised you have to get development closer and closer to business. So we moved business and development closer and closer together. And then the natural occurred. When you push two things so close together, they become one. So then we fully owned the concept of the citizen developer. Now, for us, a citizen developer is somebody who works in business, is regular staff, has a regular job, which isn't development. We train them. We give them a driving license, so to speak, for developing automations. And they become this citizen developer role. And they develop automations for themselves, for their team, for the department, and we also enable, if they make automations that are applicable, they can be shared throughout the organisation. And what we thought was, if we could dot these citizen developer types out in the organisation, like carrots in the bundle sharing a cake, so you're no more than 2 or 3 degrees of separation away from a citizen developer, this will drive the uptake. of this democratized automation. So now we have this as-a-service platform run centrally. And we have all of these citizen developers. And these citizen developers become for us our content providers, our free content providers. This is a model we're familiar with, right? We all experience this on YouTube, for example, or Instagram. There's a platform there, and there's thousands or tens of thousands or millions of people in the case of these big social networks that provide it with content. And that's how we saw the democratization growing. That if we can provide the professional platform and we enable our users, then we're going to fill up the platform with content. So now we've got the target, achievable target, we've got the platform in place, and we've got this concept, we're fully owning the idea of a citizen developer. And we noticed something with citizen developers. You can't rely on them. They come and they go. They may get a new responsibility in the company. They may leave the company. They may have in their regular job extreme pressure, time pressure, and they can't dedicate even that small amount of time to developing processes. So we understood we had to have a very low cost of acquisition for our citizen developers, and we had to expect churn. So you've always got to have new citizen developers coming in, understanding you're going to lose them along the way. So that was kind of an external factor on these citizen developers. There was another internal factor for these citizen developers, and that was this. The citizen developer, they're some of the most curious, creative people in the organization, the most forward-looking. They understand what automation is going to mean to the company. And they get on board with the program, and they create their first automation so they can put it on their resume, so they can put it on LinkedIn. They do it for themselves. And then they make a second automation, it's a little bit better, and they make it specifically to improve their job. So their job gets a little bit better. And then their manager notices, and he says, can you create one for the whole department? They do that. A close colleague, a friend asks them, gives them an idea, they develop for that person. Maybe one or two of these processes get shared in a larger organization. And then so you get 4, 5, 6, 7 processes out of your citizen developers. And then their personal reason, their personal return on investment disappears. They've proven to themselves, they've got it on their resume, they've got it on LinkedIn, they've impressed their boss, they've done a favor to a friend. Why do they make the 8th, 9th, 10th? Someone down the corridor they don't quite get on with, comes with an idea, they don't drink coffee with them, they say, so I'm a little bit busy now. So how do we keep these citizen developers providing content into the platform? Well, the answer's there in the social network paradigm. Why do people continue to upload videos to YouTube, to put images on Instagram and so on and so forth? So we created a social network platform for automation, an automation networking platform, where what these citizen developers are doing is completely visible. You can see where your robots are running, who's using them, how they're being shared. Built into the platform is the bot store, so users can just download it. It's not just for the developers, it's for the users too. People just want to run robots. So we have as an aside, we expect everybody to be able to run a robot, all 96,000 people. We don't expect 96,000 citizen developers. They're always going to be dotted in the organization like currants in the bum. So to keep the engagement from the citizen developers and the users can put ideas in there, and the first citizen developer that develops that idea gets recognition, so on and so forth. So we built this platform to keep the engagement. And then we took it one step further with a gamification. So now, you may be asking yourself, this is a lot of freedom that you're giving your people. What are the risks? What are the concerns? How are you managing this? Well, let me say, before we started this journey, we did an analysis of our workforce about how many people were developing, had downloaded freeware and community versions of RPA software. And we discovered there were thousands of people in the organization already automating just for themselves, exactly as we want citizen developers to do. That's not control. That's a lack of control. The democratization model gives you the control. The characteristics of a good democracy, right, is a well-regulated society with laws and rules that everybody follows. Terms and conditions, terms of service, community guidelines. So in no way are our citizen developers externalized to the platform. They sit within the platform. We've got a huge amount of control over our citizen developers through the technology of the platform. And we offer them something they can't, a better service than they can get from doing any kind of shadow IT, which they will inevitably do if you don't give them the democratized option. I get the question, what happens if you give everybody a robot? Aren't they going to go crazy with it? They're going to do nasty things, sabotage? No, they don't. Giving somebody a robot doesn't make them a gangster overnight. If they're a good employee on the Monday without the robot, I didn't know that was going to be a laugh line. That was good. You give them a robot on the Monday, they're going to be a good employee on the Tuesday too. They're not going to go crazy, do crazy stuff. And they don't do that. In fact, they become more reliable because they become more satisfied. There's nothing more dangerous to an organisation than a dissatisfied, bored employee. But anyway, regardless of that, you can build this platform and you can put so many security and automation checks into that, compliance, to make sure the automations your people are doing are exactly what you want them to do and nothing else. So the understanding that your employees can be trusted, that you can build technical checks and balances into the platform, very important to understand, and knowing that you create a good democracy, a good society, and your people will want to work within it. So that's the 4 or 5 large leaps we've taken. First of all, we just set up an achievable target. All 96,000 people able to run a robot, and a large proportion of them able to develop their own robots. The robots they develop can be shared through the organisation. And this process of sharing must be extremely fast. This can't be a bottleneck. We have the concept that a person, citizen developer, can create an automation in Japan. In the same 24-hour period, it can be used by the same job role in Mexico. That's how fast processes go through our Q&A system. It's all automated. Now, our democratization model, the way we've set it up like this, isn't one size fits all. I don't think this is applicable to all organizations, to all enterprises. I think democratization for different enterprises is very specific to the size, the type of enterprise you are. But there's 2 common aspects that I think any democratized model needs to follow or needs to concentrate on. And that is, number 1, the control. You need to build technical controls into the platform. If you can't yet today build the technical controls, then there's policy controls. And we all have policy controls already without robots. And secondly, you need to build it for the most important stakeholders in the organisation, and that is the general staff. The people who know the most about automation, the people who know how the biggest impact automation is the general staff. It's not the executive, it's not the managers, it's everybody else. They're the people that know which are the repetitive, tedious tasks that should be automated. They're the people that can automate them the fastest. So build your solution, if you want to get into a democratized model, for your people. Treat them like consumers and clients. Thanks very much for listening so attentively. It's been a pleasure.